I'm supposed to go from full slate college football Saturday to conference championship Saturday to Army Navy, and I'm supposed to be excited about it. I'm not going to be excited about it. I don't care about the game. I'm not watching the game. I'm not betting. I'll probably bet the under just because it hits so often. I'm not going to watch it. I don't respect the troops. They don't respect the game.
I bet my life I'm a dice shaker. Electric lights on a skyscraper. It's up and downs for a real.
Welcome to Diceshaker Podcast. My name is Jordan Brown. I am the host of the Diceshaker Podcast. With me, as always, the man's behind the scenes, Tyler Hartley. Thank you, sir.
Little Toronto mans on that one. Thank you, Jordan. Yeah, you said mans. That was cool.
Oh, did I? Didn't mean to.
Dude.
But all right, whatever.
Hip.
We'll go with it. We'll rock with it. All right. A lot to get to today. We are through Conference Championship Week. We are into the final home stretch of the NFL season. We're gonna run through the notes today. I got a bunch of stuff from over the past few days about college football that I want to talk about. Obviously, the playoff bracket is out. We'll talk about that. Some news with some coaching hires, and then we'll get into some thoughts from the NFL as well. So the playoff bracket's out. That's the biggest news going so far today, and so. I'm not going to go in and break down the matchups and stuff. That's been done a million places by a million people. What I want to talk about is sort of how these decisions got made and what was valued over other things. So the big thing coming into Sunday when the rankings got released after Conference Championship Saturday was basically 11 of the 12 spots were set. It was just going to be, is that 12 spot going to SMU or is it going to Alabama? Alabama obviously did not play on Conference Championship weekend. They lost to Vandy. They lost to Oklahoma. They weren't in it. SMU played Clemson, lost on a last-second field goal in the ACC championship game. And thought there was, well, SMU, non-conference champion in the ACC, are they going to be above 3 losses from the SEC? They were not. SMU got in. And the reason SMU got in, people thought it was rigged from the jump. People thought for sure Alabama was getting in, much bigger brand, SEC, ESPN. They want Alabama in. And what ESPN, and I want to be clear when we talk about the playoff moving forward. People talk about like, oh, the playoff committee or whatever, whoever's making. ESPN makes these decisions. ESPN owns the playoff. People see this bracket and they think, oh, college football playoff, NCAA tournament, same thing. Not the same thing. NCAA owns March Madness. ESPN owns the college football playoff. It has nothing to do with the NCAA. So ESPN makes these decisions on who's getting in. If you want to sit there and say like, well, actually, it's 12 independent committee members. ESPN's making these decisions. If you think it's the committee members independently acting on their own, you're out of your mind. And here's how I know you're out of your mind. Because there was a very clear decision from ESPN in this playoff bracket that they are going to protect the long-term value of conference championship games over the short-term value of these first-round playoff matchups. And here's what I mean by that. So, going into the day, we got the SEC championship, Georgia, Texas. Georgia was the number 3 team. Texas was the number 2 team. Texas loses. Big Ten championship. Oregon, Penn State. Oregon number 1, Penn State number 4. Penn State loses. ACC championship. SMU goes in as like the 8th seed, I think, or the 8th ranked team. Clemson was like 19. Clemson wins. So, if ESPN wanted the best, I struggle to say best, the most marketable first round games, then the move to make the matchups happen the way they wanted to would have been to bump Penn State and SMU, maybe SMU out, Alabama in, bump Penn State way down, and put Texas in that 8 or 9 spot. They didn't do that. They left the conference losers as the 5, 6, and in SMU's case, the 11th seed, with Clemson, another conference championship winning, being the 12th seed. So what they did there is they protected the value of the conference championship games. If SMU had gotten bounced from the playoff for losing a conference championship game when Alabama gets in by not even playing in one, it could be reasonably argued that SMU would have been better off just not playing the conference championship game, just declining to go and being 11-1 as an at-large and taking their chances that way. You could also argue the same thing if Penn State were to get super bounced down. They still would have made it, but if they'd been down to 9, 10, 11 somewhere in there and they don't get a home playoff game, they go, well, Ohio State was better off than us. They didn't even make the conference championship game. Same with Texas losing to Georgia. They could sit there and argue, well, we would have been better off just not even playing this game. And that damages the conference. The conference championships with the playoffs there's already a threat that their value is going to be diminished because the 2 teams from the Big Ten and the 2 teams from the SEC got into the playoff. So it's like, well, if you make it, you're in kind of thing already. And it's like, okay, but what that does long term is it still gives teams reason to go play in the conference championship games, which protects their value from a ratings perspective moving forward because they're still going to matter. Teams are still going to play in them. And in fact, I think coming down the line, we're going to get conference playoff games in the SEC and the Big Ten. Well, they'll do like their 4 go to a playoff to play for the conference before the actual playoff. What that cost them by doing that is the first round games aren't as good as they could be. Like we could have had, Notre Dame, Alabama in the first round. We're getting Notre Dame, Indiana instead. We could have had Texas playing. We could have Texas playing Penn State potentially and had a Big Ten SEC matchup. We're not getting that. We're getting Notre Dame versus Indiana. We're getting Penn State versus SMU. We're getting Texas versus Clemson. And the last first round game is escaping me. I will come up with it in 3, 2, 1. It's Ohio State and Tennessee. All great games, all going to be fun, but not as good as what the committee could have made it. So they decided that they wanted to protect the long-term value of the conference championship game. Something to keep in mind as we move forward into these coming years is that basically they are not going to punish teams for losing their conference championship games. So that's that. Now, they do have a problem with how they've done things. And maybe it could have been foreseen. I think probably not. And we're dealing with obviously it's the first time we've had a 12-team playoff, so we're dealing with a small sample size. So people want to make all these changes. It's like, we maybe got to wait. But we do have a lopsided bracket. For sure we have a lopsided bracket. And the reason we have that is how the allocation. So the teams that get the first round buys are not the 4 highest ranked teams. It's the 4 highest ranked conference champions. And so because of how it broke down with Clemson beating SMU, they are the 12 seed and they don't get a first round bye, which means that the 4 highest conference champions are Oregon, Georgia. Okay, fine. But then it's Boise State, Arizona State as the other 2. They get buys into the second round. And so what that's done is that's created a really lopsided, and the other thing to point is they don't reseed when in the playoffs. So you know how like the NFL reseeds where it's like the highest seed plays the lowest available seed regardless. Yeah. It's not like that. We have set matchups. We know that like Oregon is playing the winner of Ohio State and Tennessee. We know that for a fact. Whereas Penn State finishes as the 6th ranked team, as the 6th seed. They get SMU in the first round, and then they're going to get Boise State in the second round. Mm-hmm. Much easier path for them to the Final Four, and so that's a problem, and that's going to create. That's gonna impact ESPN in the long run because people won't when the bracket's that lopsided, and the argument I know could be like, well, in the NCAA tournament it's kind of luck of the draw. That's 64 teams and it's basketball. It's a different thing. It's an upset is way more likely in a basketball game than it is in a football game, and you're dealing with 64 teams, so obviously there's going to be a little bit of variance in the quality of the bracket. We're dealing with 12 teams. You have to have it where the better teams have an easier path. Otherwise, the whole thing just seems kind of weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. For sure. So Penn State on paper has an easier path than Oregon does, except for the fact that they have people acting like Oregon has a worse path than Penn State. Penn State has to play an extra game, a whole extra. Getting the bye is still way better than not getting bye, regardless of who your matchup is in the second round. And second of all, this is Penn State. Since when do we trust Penn State to win a big game? When is Penn State not susceptible to just shit in their pants on national television in front of everybody and embarrassing anybody who's ever cared about the school? They do that all the time. So it's the idea that like Penn State's just going to cakewalk to the Final Four. I don't buy that at all. Mm. I do think we need to change it so that the top 4 ranked teams get buys in the first round, and not. I'm fine with conference champion gets an auto bid, meaning like if you win your conference, you're in. It can't guarantee you a top 4 seed. We can't be doing this where Arizona State and Boise State are getting buys and Penn State gets the cakewalk, whereas Oregon's going to have to go through the winner of Ohio State, Tennessee, who are much better teams than Boise State. So we've got to tweak that. Now, this will also be said, people don't even understand this. This whole thing is up to be redone in 2 years. It's only a 2-year deal. So we're doing this year and we're doing next year at 12 teams. After that, they can expand it again. They can drop it back. They'll never drop it back down again. But they can expand it again after 2 years.
This is essentially a trial run, though, right?
It's easy. Yeah, essentially, we're going to work the bugs out. We're going to go to 14. And then we're really going to kick the bugs out. And we're going to have a Super League with the SEC and the Big Ten. And then we're going to go to 16 teams. Yeah. And we're probably going to... Anyway. So that's all coming. So this format is going to change. Did they get it? I think they got it right with the 12 teams that are in. Did they get the seeds right? No. Does it impact what's going to happen that much? No. I think we were always probably going to end up with the Final Four of Oregon, Georgia, Notre Dame, and either Penn State or Texas. And we're still probably headed in that direction.
Oh, yeah. Okay, quick question about that then. If it's going to end up the same way you thought it was anyway, then does it really matter?
Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Why are we doing? I'll tell you. Well, great question.
That's
so really the argument's going to be there that one, just do this for this is ESPN doing this. But we make more money this way. That would be their answer. Sure. Number one, we get to play more games, and then two, the argument would be that in years, because of how the NIL works now and the transfers work now, the talent is more spread out. So on any given year, you're going to have somewhere between 6 to 8 teams that could win the national championship, and therefore, no, in most years, we couldn't just pick the 4. Honestly, I think this year we could go back to the BCS where we just had a computer pick the 2 teams and they played for the national championship. Like if you told me tomorrow that the national championship game is Oregon, Georgia, I'd be like, all right. Mm-hmm. Winner of the Big Ten, winner of the SEC. I'm going to have a hard time listening to anybody who tells me those aren't the 2 best teams in the country based on everything we've seen so far. Georgia lost their quarterback in the SEC championship game, so that's going to impact things a little bit. Probably not that much because the backup's a 5-star too. But that would be the argument, is that we're moving to a world where this won't continue to be the case. Mm-hmm. I happen to think it is this year.
Yeah, that's more the argument I'm wondering about. Yeah, obviously money is always going to be the issue, but more so just what is the actual market?
We certainly don't need to go to 14 teams, and we certainly don't need to go to 16 teams.
No, it's more
we're gonna. And now, listen, I would like to see it in a world where, like I think we're headed to a world where the Big Ten and the SEC split and do their own thing. They're going to poach like Clemson, Florida State, Miami, whoever else from the ACC. They'll join up. We'll have like a 34, 36 teams between the 2 conferences. And they'll do, I think, playoffs within their own conferences. Mm-hmm. And those will be your extra playoff games, I think, is how that'll go. But we'll see about that. So anyway, so we got through all that. Now, this needs to be said now. All right? We haven't been talking about it much during the season because, honestly, anything they've done up until now has not mattered. They've done what I've expected them to do. When this podcast started, the very first episode, you guys go back and listen to it. I picked the national championship. I said Oregon Ducks plus 800. This is now an Oregon Ducks podcast for the next 6 weeks.
Yes.
I will die for the Oregon Ducks. Do you understand? I don't want to hear. I don't want to see. You have to wear Nike if you want to come on this podcast. I don't want to hear about it. We only care about the Ducks at this point. We are now the number 1 seed in the country. I got them at plus 800. They're now like plus 300 to win the national championship. They are the favorites. It is bullshit they got the harder path. I'm going to be yelling about that for the next 6 weeks, even though I said it doesn't matter. I'm an aggrieved fan at this point.
I was going to say, now you're a fan.
I am a temporary Oregon Ducks fan for the next 6 weeks. We are the best team in the country. I love Dylan Gabriel with all of my heart, and I can't wait to kick the shit out of Tennessee or Ohio State, whoever comes out of that mid-off that they're going to be playing in Columbus in a couple of weeks. I'm super excited about the Ducks. Can't wait to have it. Quack, quack.
I can't join you on that.
Why can't we quack? Let's give it a quack. Quack, quack. There we go. There we go. It's a Quack Podcast.
I feel like the Mighty Ducks now, man.
Well, they're the Ducks.
Yeah, no, but like the children's movie now. I don't
That's fun. You ever been losing by 40 and have people quack at you? It's infuriating.
Never.
Infuriating. You know what's worse? Little side tangent here. The MEEP. So UTSA, University of Texas, San Antonio, are the Roadrunners.
Yeah.
And so they meep.
Oh, they do the meep.
Bro, when they score, I've been bet against Utah. I've obviously never met a UTSA fan, but like I've been betting against UTSA at times, and then like losing, and then they fucking start meeping, bro. Oh, it's infuriating.
Of course.
To just have another touchdown go up and just see their face. Meep.
That's like a little brother fucking annoying you when you're a kid, man. Yeah, that's awful.
It's an annoying one. The Ducks, people get upset about the quacking too. We're gonna be quacking like a motherfucker on this podcast.
Yeah.
Listen, if they lose, I'm gonna disavow immediately, and I'll tell them they were frauds the entire time, and I never believed in them. That's the point of betting a future. Is I get to be a fan with no consequences for the next 6 weeks. I picked the right team. I get to go in with the favorite now. I get to act like a cocky asshole. I love Phil Knight. I love Nike. We have the most expensive roster in college football. We're just on the number 1 class in college football in high school. This ain't ended anytime soon. By the way, people thought this Oregon thing was gonna be over soon. It's not. Dan Lanning is 38 years old. If he coaches till he's Saban's age, there's 40 more years of this shit. All right? The Ducks are here forever. I'm happy to be a part of it for a short little while. I'm excited that they'll have me. I can't wait to see the uniforms we're going to bust out. The Big Ten game, I did not like the uniform choices. You know, they have different uniforms every game. Did not like them. They went black jerseys, these green neon helmets, but they had the names and the numbers were also like neon green. It didn't look great to me. I think we need a little bit more heat for the playoff. Hopefully, Uncle Phil there is hanging on to the good stuff for the playoff, is what I hope. Now, that's pretty much what I've got for the playoff. Couple of news and notes that we need to talk about for this week. So just got announced about an hour ago before we started recording. A sentence I never thought I would say. If you told me a week ago that this was going to happen, I'd say you're crazy. Bill Belichick is the head coach of North Carolina football. And so if you're not a college football guy, you probably don't get what that means. North Carolina football. Everybody knows North Carolina basketball, right? Michael Jordan, the whole bit. Everybody knows North Carolina basketball. Maybe the sweetest colors in all of college sports. They are the last sleeping giant in college football, meaning that they are the last program that has basically never been good, but that seemingly has everything they need to be good. They obviously have an athletic, like they just care about sports. Clearly, the basketball team, they're big, they have a ton of money, they have a great recruiting. Like the Carolinas produce a lot of players. The Virginia's right there. They can get guys from Florida, like all up and down that East Coast. Then go into Texas. They have a great brand. Everybody knows North Carolina, right? It's not like we're asking like Liberty or something to build a program. It's North Carolina, but for whatever reason, they have basically never been good. They just probably haven't cared that much about it, right? And so, so North Carolina is the sleeping giant. The North Carolina job comes open a couple of weeks ago, and everybody's like, all right, who are they going to get? They're the best job in the market. Who are they going to get? Out of the clouds about 4 or 5 days ago comes Bill Belichick, who is, I don't really think there's an argument, he's the greatest football coach who's ever lived. People could argue Saban. I think Saban's the best college coach who ever lived. I think what Belichick accomplished in the NFL over the time that he did it is harder than what Saban did in college. They're 1 and 2, however you want to slice it. I have Belichick as number 1. I think most people do. So, the greatest football coach in the history of the game is going to North Carolina to coach this team. Now, there's a couple of different things that are at play here. Number 1 is he has a 2-year deal that he has said he is leaving at the end of, and contingent on him taking this job was after he leaves, his kid gets to be head coach. So do you know about Steve Belichick? You ever seen Steve Belichick?
He was on the sidelines.
He was on because he's an odd-looking guy. He's a weird-looking guy.
A lot of memes of that guy doing his jaw thing.
Get the thing with the tongue going. So he obviously worked for the Patriots all the way through, obviously Belichick's kid. And so the implication there is obviously that like this guy stinks. For what it's worth, there have been a bunch of people whose opinions I respect. Obviously, I don't know them personally, but just smart football people. Guys like Chris Long, guys like Daniel Jeremiah, who have said, no, Steve's the real deal. He can actually coach. He knows how to do this. And so he's been this past year, he was the defensive coordinator for Washington. So it's not like he's coming out of it's not like, he's never had a job before. And I assume he's going to be the defensive coordinator for Belichick, which being the defensive coordinator for Belichick basically means like shut up and take notes while I coach the defense.
Sure.
And then he's going to be the head guy. Okay. Feels a little Bronny James-ish, a little bit, but not crazy. It's not like Bronny can't, you know what I'm saying? It would be like if Bronny was like supposed to be a second round pick and got picked in the first round. It would kind of be like that. Whereas like Steve Belichick probably eventually at some point was going to get a head coaching job. Was he going to get it this early? Was it going to be North Carolina the first one? Yep, probably not.
I think it's a lot different too when it's like a mental thing as far as like you've just learned from the best your whole life.
Right.
It's not like Bronny James where it's like, well, you learn from the best, but your dad was also 6'8", 260, right? Like, you're not quite that.
Exactly. You can watch your dad jump all day long. Doesn't mean you can do it. Right. So there's a little bit of that to it. Okay. Now, the interesting part about this. So Belichick, I guess what happened was the gangster move. North Carolina's like, we want to hire you. He goes, okay, great. I've been waiting for this. 400-page manifesto. This is how I want everything to operate. It's got everything in there of like, this is how we're organizing the day to day. This is the assistants I want. This is how much you need to pay my assistants. This is how much everything's going to cost you. This is the control I get. This is how the whole, basically he's like, I'm taking over this entire program. We are building it exactly how I want to do it. It is a yes or no answer. You can either say, yes, I get full control, or no, you can go hire another coach. He got the job. So obviously they said yes. Mm-hmm. And now people have wondered, go, okay, well, what's that going to look like? Bill Belichick coaching college kids. Bill Belichick he's going to go recruit. He's going to go convince an 18-year-old where to go. Well, he went on McAfee's show on yesterday, and he basically laid out what he wants to do and what his idea is, and it's interesting. He, on his face, what he says so far is his pitch, what his vision is he is going to turn North Carolina into an NFL minor league team. His pitch to kids is going to be, nobody knows better what it takes to play in the NFL than me. I will get you there. I will get you to the league. We don't care about college wins. We don't care about, winning the Heisman. We don't care about any of that. I'm going to make you into a professional football player. You are going to be treated as a professional the moment you get here. And that's an interesting little pitch. It's kind of what Calipari did at Kentucky about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when he took over there and started getting the John Walls and the Boogie Cousins and thing. And basically his whole thing was like, come play for me because I put you in the league. Mm-hmm. Whatever happens in college is what happens in college. We'll play hard and we'll see if we can win, but I'm going to get you paid. You're going to go to the league if you come play for me. Not really an approach a college coach has ever taken before. Saban did a little bit. Like it is Saban flavored, and Belichick, Saban, they're friends. They've worked together. Like their styles kind of intermesh all the way down. And so Saban, that is how Saban kind of built the Alabama monster before NIL was a thing, of like, Alabama was the first one. They had a running tally in their facility of like the amount of money their players have made in the NFL. So you go there as a recruit and you're like, hey, by the way, it's $210 million over there that we've made in the last like 6 years or whatever. And so that's how it got. It goes, hey, you come here, you work hard, you play behind the first round picks, you get to play for a year, you're a first round pick now.
Sure.
So that's been done a little bit. It has not been done in the NIL era, which is interesting. And so I'm interested in to see two different things. One, I'm interested to see how much stomach North Carolina really has for this. Because I guarantee one thing is true. Bill Belichick does not give a damn about North Carolina football. In terms of like, he don't care if they win the ACC. He doesn't want to lose, obviously. He's going to coach to win. But he's not there to like bring glory to the program. He's there to get his kid a job. And I mean, his dad turned out to, I guess his dad was an assistant coach in North Carolina, like back in the 50s. So maybe that plays a little bit into it too. Mm-hmm. But that's what he's there to do. He's basically there to remake a college program in his image and not prioritize college success. So I'm interested in hey, we had 3 kids drafted in the first round, but we went 8-4. Is that going to be good enough for North Carolina boosters? Interested to see there. Number 2, these kids, they wanted to get paid, huh? You want to be pros, huh? You want to drive around the Range Rovers. You want to act like you're a professional football player when you're 18. Okay. Well, now you have the most professional ass football coach you've ever seen. And one of the things people are saying out there is like, well, how is Belichick? He's 72 years old. He's a curmudgeon. He's always been an asshole. How is he going to relate to these young kids? Not going to relate to them. All right, just want to take a break to tell you guys about Wanna Parlay. Wanna Parlay is a new way to play daily fantasy sports. So for you people who like the prop bets, who like the parlays, this is for you. What it does is it allows you to build a parlay and compete against others to win money and prizes. So how you got to do it is you got to go to the App Store. You want to download the Wanna Parlay app. You're going to create an account. When you create the account, you want to enter the promo code DICE. That's DICE, DICE. That's going to get you a free deposit match up to $250 on your first deposit. From there, you just build your parlays, join groups, compete against others, get put on the leaderboard, win prizes, trips to NFL games, win money up to, I think, $2,000 on a $2 parlay you can win. So check them out. Wanna Parlay. Thank you. So yeah, ruthless management of the roster is his calling card. And I have to assume when he says that he wants to run this like a pro team, that's what he means. And so some of these kids are going to run like, listen, there's going to be some receiver who has 7 catches for 92 yards and a touchdown on Saturday, and he's going to go out and party Saturday night in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and he's going to be the man, and he's going to be talking to the white girls, and he's going to feel amazing, and then he's going to show up at 7 a.m. on Sunday, and he's going to get motherfucked by a 5'6" Ukrainian man. He's Croatian, and it is going to be earth-shattering for those children when they realize what they are dealing with. This man regularly told Tom Brady he sucked. What do you think he's going to say to you, son?
Nothing nice.
Nothing nice. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal for those kids. So I'm just interested to see how it all plays out. This is a program now that went from kind of irrelevant to I have to see how it goes. Whether maybe he turns it into a power, maybe it works and he turns it into a powerhouse, maybe it blows up in his face. I think it's one of the two. I don't think there's any way that this kind of works. I think it's either going to work spectacularly or it's going to be an absolute unmitigated disaster. Either way, I can't wait to see it. So that's the Belichick thing. This week, Saturday, no games. No games. Well, there is one game. There's one game. And people tell me I got to care about this game. I don't care about this game. People say it's Army-Navy week. You have to care about the Army-Navy game. It's why we don't have any games this week, because Army-Navy has to play by themselves. And people want me to care about the Army-Navy. And listen, let's caveat this by saying I'm Canadian. You guys heard it in the intro. We're in Toronto. So the military thing doesn't hit with us the way it might hit for some of you guys in the States. And let me just say this. When you guys tell me that I got to care about Army-Navy, and I ask why I should care about the Army-Navy game, and you're going to say things like, well, the pageantry, and you gotta respect the troops. How about they start to respect the game a little bit? How about we run a real offense one time in our 80-year history? Both of these programs. So how the service academies work, right? It's obviously like if you're going to play for the service academies, you have to be in the military, and the military has like size and weight restrictions. So they can't get like 300-pound linemen. They're not, they just don't go there. They literally can't take them because they can't be, they're too fat to be in the military.
Yeah.
And so when you have to have these little guys, and then you also are not, obviously, like if you're a 5-star prospect, you're not going to Navy and like, oh yeah, let me live on a boat for a couple of years instead of going to the NFL. That's not happening. So you're at this talent disadvantage and you're at this size disadvantage. So they all run the wing T triple option. An offense that was invented in the 30s and has not changed since. And they continue to run it. And they run it when they both play each other. We're looking at games that the under in service academy games is like 38-5-1 in the last like how many ever. Games always go under. They're always an abomination. They're played in the cold. And it's just two teams with fullbacks just smashing into each other for 2.5 hours because the games go fast. And then somebody wins 7-3 and it's over. And I'm supposed to get excited about that on a call. I'm supposed to go from full slate college football Saturday to conference championship Saturday to Army-Navy, and I'm supposed to be excited about it. I'm not going to be excited about it. I don't care about the game. I'm not watching the game. I'm not betting. Now, I'll probably bet the under just because it hits so often. I'm not going to watch it. I don't respect the troops. They don't respect the game. Run a real offense. You want me to watch the game? Run a real offense. There should be a rule that if you want to play college football on TV, you have to pass it more than 12 times in a game. You have to. You have to. I am not going to sit there and watch fullback dive for 3 hours. I don't care how many marching bands we have before the game. It sucks. It shouldn't be reserved for this weekend. We should be playing. Honestly, we should have conference semifinals last weekend, and this should be conference championship Saturday. Army-Navy can play whenever. I don't care. And also, by the way, very funny that Army-Navy actually isn't the only game this year on this day because there's the Salute to Service Bowl between like Western Michigan and somebody, which is very funny to me. Very, very American military thing of like, yeah, no, this game today's about like respecting the troops and all that and pageantry and the history and all that. And also, but like if we can make a little money on the side, we're going to do that too. So we have this bowl game over here called the Salute to Service Bowl. It doesn't mean dick. And it's just a complete money grab because we know that people are dying for football on this day because we make them watch fullback dive for 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's the Army-Navy game this week. I hate it. It shouldn't be a thing. People every year tell me, people tell me this is the best. I've heard legitimately people say this is the best Saturday of the year is Army-Navy week. If you don't get the fuck out of my face with that, what a disrespectful thing to say. We just went through 14 Saturdays, including a conference championship week, and you're going to say that watching the 6'1", 250-pound linemen wrestle each other is the best Saturday. Go fuck yourself. You don't know anything about football. That's the college shit. We're on to pros. All right. NFL. Sorry. Heated now over Army-Navy.
Oh, hey, man. Happy to see it, man. Happy to see it.
It's an abomination of a football game. Like, it truly is. Like, it's like there's high schools there are high schools in Texas that I would way rather watch than Army-Navy. Anyway. Sunday. Not a great Sunday in the NFL this past Sunday. Knew it kind of going in. Slate didn't look great. Not a lot of big matchups. The playoff seeding is pretty much already decided. Here's my thing, though, man. And we're getting to it now. It's now December. We're Super Bowl's late. We're 2.5 months away from no more football, and really, like, the games are right. We're almost in the playoffs, and then once that wild card weekend's through, it's like the games really start to dwindle. We can't be taking these for advantage. You gotta appreciate everyone. You gotta find something in the midst of the week to cheer for. And listen. That's what gambling is for, to be honest with you. It's like people are like, oh, this is a shitty Sunday. It's like there's no bad games with a point spread.
Absolutely.
There's no bad games with points. And just to point out, by the way, went 5-4 again this weekend. Another winning week. We're 58% through 14 weeks. It cannot be argued anymore. All the people 2 months ago, 3 months ago said it's unsustainable. Revert to the means.
It's the same.
It
hasn't changed.
It's the same. I don't come up here and say anything that isn't true. I haven't been bragging about the college record. We finished 45% in college record. Went 3-0 in conference championship week last weekend. 45% throughout the year. I'm not bragging about that. 58% through 14 weeks. It's just an undeniable pace at this point. Can I do it next year? I don't know. But listen, nobody can tell me that this isn't a career year. When it's all said and done, and I'm giving the Hall of Fame speech, 2024 is going to be talked about. It's going to be talked about as like, yeah, that was one where like we started to realize this guy was maybe different. And it just, the numbers are what the numbers are. Everything's been recorded. All the bets been placed. Is what it is. Lots of games still to go. I will say this: we're not gonna give out picks for the first round of the playoff games yet. But the Game of the Year committee has had a meeting. We are looking. There is a potential. We are looking at it. We're doing due diligence on a potential Game of the Year. So all that's still to come. There's still a lot more winning to do. But we need to acknowledge that like what's happened this year in the NFL is just legitimately. It's just been a professional approach all year long. Like I don't know what it is. Say again. I'm not sitting here saying anything that it can't be backed up by a number. So that just is what it is. If you guys aren't following, if you aren't paying attention, if you're not betting the games with me, you're costing yourself money. That's just fact. Yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
Back into the games. Big one obviously was Rams Bills. That one ended 44-42, highest scoring game in the NFL this year. Bills got caught sleeping on that one, in my opinion. Coming off the big win, obviously they had beat the Chiefs, and then they stomped the Niners at home, and people are talking about maybe they're in the 1 seed, and a lot of hype behind the Bills, and they just kind of got napping. They got jumped a little bit in this one. The Rams were, if you want to talk about like concerns for the Bills long term out of that game, the Rams went 11 for 15 on third downs in that game. That's bad. Neither team had a sack in the game. That's bad. And that's what happens when you get a Hall of Fame level quarterback in Matt Stafford and an MVP, likely Hall of Fame level quarterback in Josh Allen, and nobody's getting a pass rush. You're going to get 44-42. Yeah. You're going to get almost 1,000 yards in offense. There's just nothing you can do. And so the Bills' inability against not a great Rams offensive line, their inability to rush the passer there, that is, I will store that away for come playoff time. It doesn't really change anything for me in the short term for the Bills. They're still, I think, the second best team. I thought they were second best team in the AFC coming into the game. I think the second best team coming out of the game. But that where it was like, ooh, if you guys don't get a pass rush, it all of a sudden now we need Josh to go superhuman just to stay in the game. Against, again, a Rams team that has a good offense, obviously McVay and Stafford, it's if different matchup, maybe it doesn't hurt him as bad, but just very interesting to go, okay, that is a weakness that they have that can flash. They just are not able to generate any sort of pass rush. Now, I will say, it may not matter because what Josh Allen is doing right now is unbelievable. Incredible. He is playing the best football of his life. He is unquestionably the MVP. I would also like to remind you guys that back when he was plus 250 to win the MVP, before they played the Chiefs, I said bet it then. Should have bet it then. You didn't. Everybody, Lamar. We can give that award out tomorrow. Josh Allen is winning the MVP. It's done. What he is able to do, it's almost similar to like James Harden on the Rockets in like 2015, 2016, where it's like it's the whole thing. Everything is him. Everything that they do. Like if you go back and look at that set, I think there were, I'm going to do off the top of my head. This may not be exactly right, but I think it's close. I believe there were 29 yards of offense in that game for the Bills that Josh Allen did not have a hand in, either like passing or rushing. Yeah. They had like 500 yards. He had 6 touchdowns. Mahomes is still the best quarterback, but what the Chiefs figured out a while ago, I think after they lost that Super Bowl to the Bucs, was just because Mahomes can do that doesn't mean that's the best way for us to play him. We'll talk about the Chiefs in a bit because obviously they had a little bit of an interesting game again too. Whereas the Bills, and listen, to their credit, I'm sure they would like, and maybe they will get to a point where they play in a way where Josh Allen does not have to be a superhuman. But right now, they have leaned into the superhumanness. They say their calculation is that the best chance for us to win is if we just put the game in Josh's hands every single time. And it's hard to argue with that right now. Obviously, they lost the game, and that's to my point of if your defense is going to be that susceptible without a pass rush, then maybe Josh being a superhero is not going to be enough. But I believe we're headed to Bills Chiefs AFC Championship game again, and that will be a historic game. That will be a game that is remembered, I believe, forever. It will go down in history very similarly to how the Brady Manning games used to be, where you felt and meeting in the AFC Championship game again, the Bills lost and the Chiefs won. So that game is almost certainly getting played in Arrowhead now, which is not good for Josh, not good for the Bills. But if there is a team that can beat the Chiefs, it is the Bills. I think that's pretty clear. We'll get to the Chiefs in a minute. Did want to talk about one quick thing. Dumb play at the end of that game that maybe cost them the game. Brady, and credit to Brady. Brady's been a terrible announcer all year because of the restrictions around like his ownership and what he's saying and saying. He nailed this one. So they had 3 timeouts with the ball on like the 2. They needed a touchdown. They were down 10? Down 11. So they need a touchdown, 2-point conversion, field goal to win the game. Or down at 9. It doesn't matter. They need to score and get the ball back again. And so Brady said, okay, you have the ball at the 2, first down at the 2, throw it 3 times. If it doesn't work, kick the field goal. And then you still have all 3 timeouts. You don't have to onside kick it because you can call time against the clock. They ran a sneak for Josh Allen from the 2, and I think it might have been to get him the touchdown record. He already had 6. And so they ran it again to get him another one. I think maybe trying to push the MVP stuff, not sure. Terrible decision to run a sneak from the 2. They don't get in. The clock is now running. You have to call the timeout to stop the clock. You now only have 2 timeouts, and now you're effed because now you have to do the onside kick. And Brady nailed it right away. He saw it as soon as it happened. He said they just lost the game because now they have to rely on a 3% chance of getting the onside kick back. Rather than throwing it 3 times. You either score a touchdown or you don't. Either way, no time comes off the clock. You kick the field goal, play defense, get the ball back. So credit to Brady there. Very bad decision by the Bills. I don't know what that was about. Okay. Anything else from that game? Atlanta and the Vikings. I think we might be done with Kirk, man. I've had a long storied history with Mr. Cousins, dating all the way back to, 2013, I think, is when he takes over in Washington. And I've had, it's been an up and down relationship with Kirk because nobody's cost me more backdoor covers than that man. Nobody's got it when they don't have it, when you don't need it like Kirk. It's always been that way. On the other hand, ultimate respect, one of the best bag getters of all time, absolute legend at the bank. We talk about guys maximizing their earning potential by using leverage. Nobody better than him. Nobody's gotten more guaranteed contracts just by not being the best player, just being the best available player. And he's done that time and time again. He got Atlanta too. So it's 0 touchdowns, 9 interceptions in his last 3 games. It looks bad. They're screaming for Penix down there. Kirk's got a bunch of money still left in that deal. I don't know how that's all going to work out. Maybe they trade him in the offseason if they can. It might be done for Kirk. Tough. I conflicted on how I feel about that because on one hand it's like, the bad man can't hurt me anymore, but on the other hand it's like, it's like an enemy respect, where it's like we really went to war, didn't we, Kirk? We really did, man. We really all those times we really went at it again. And listen, I'm sure he's got one more in him. If I know anything about Kirk Cousins, there'll be a game, maybe not even next, maybe 2 years from now, maybe he's doing the Joe Flacco thing where it's like, I'm just the old backup, and I'm just gonna come in and he'll turn 27-13 into 27-20 and cost me a game somehow. He'll do it. It'll happen again. And listen, it'll hurt, and I'll be mad at that moment. But there'll be a moment too where it's like, hey. When it's all said and gone, you're going to miss this guy. So, Listen, the conflicted feelings with Kirk. Now, the new Kirk is going to get paid. Sammy Darnold. Kirk got that boy paid. But Kirk getting out of there, going to Atlanta. They needed a stopgap quarterback. JJ gets hurt, so it ends up being Darnold. Darnold gets to benefit from the same things Cousin benefited from, which is that Kevin O'Connell, the head coach, can scheme him up some plays. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, pretty solid offensive line, decent run game. Oh, look, here come all these numbers. Bang, 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 bang. He had 5 touchdowns in that game. And he is going to get paid. I don't know exactly by who. It won't be the Vikings. The Vikings are not doing that again. And that's what is clear to me, is that the Vikings, I guarantee their GM, ownership, whoever was sitting there watching Sam Darnold throw 5 touchdowns with Kirk on the field, and they just looked at each other and goes, we're not doing it again. We're not. We're not giving this guy $120 million guaranteed so he can come in here and again the Sam Darnold thing and the Kirk Cousins thing is the same thing. If you need 4 yards, he will get you 6. If you need 8 yards, he will get you 6. And that is just how it's going to be. The completion percentage will always be high. The interceptions aren't going to be that high. Darnold has morphed into this player. He's going to get paid. I'm terrified it's going to be by the Tennessee Titans. I don't think it will be, but I'm terrified of it. Maybe the Jets. Maybe we go home again. Maybe the only way to go forward is to go back. Maybe we're a Jet again. That'd be interesting. Maybe the Giants. A little New York revenge there. Maybe. We'll see. But, Darnold's going to get paid. It's not going to be by the Vikings. And it was just very funny to see, just the... this would be a reference for you nerds. It was like a Pokemon out there, where it was like you've got the evolved version, and then oh look, it's like the little one. Yeah. Where it's sure. That's what he's gonna be. That's what that was like. So anyways, there, and then the last game I want to talk about, Chargers Chiefs, the Sunday night game. Few notes from this game. Number 1, takeaway. Stand on this firm. Just a straight up football take. If you don't have receivers that can beat man coverage, you can't score on the Chiefs. Very, very clear to me in that game. So the Chargers, we know they don't have great skill position players. Obviously, Keenan Allen left in the offseason. Ladd McConkey, my guy Ladd McConkey, out injured in this game. He's the only guy on the team that can beat man coverage. They're left with the Quentin Johnsons and the Josh Palmers of the world. They couldn't get a lick of separation against the Chiefs defense. Yeah. And when you can't do that, it's very clear to me now, when you can't do that, their front is so good with Karlaftis and Chris Jones and Sorensen, the linebacker, and those guys are so good in there that if you allow them to just play press man on the outside and you can't create any explosives off that, you can't create any separation, they're going to eat you alive, they're going to suffocate you, and you're not going to be able to score. They're not going to be able to run the ball. If they know you're running it, you can't run it. And so that's what we saw in this game. The Chargers could not move the ball. Chiefs didn't play great on offense. Chargers defense is very, very good, and it's going to continue. It is Harbaugh, it is Mike Minter, it is talent with Derwin James and the older Bosa, Joey Bosa. They're getting more out of that defense than they should because of the coaching. That is a good defense, and the Chiefs are not going to play in a way that takes on more risk than they have to. So they're not going to, when they know you can't score, they know they don't have to score. Does that make sense? Exactly. And so they play and we see this in the last drive. They are just so in control of these games. And I continue to see it. We've seen it since the first week of people just not understand. And I swear, and some people get a pass because we talked about it. They were too young. A lot of you guys were around for the Patriots, man. And you guys are acting like you weren't. You guys forgot what that was like. Where every year, the years they won the Super Bowl, it'd be, we don't what's up with the Patriots? They dropped a couple they shouldn't have, and they don't look great. And then you look up and they're playing the AFC Championship game at home. Again. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's the same thing with the Chiefs. That final drive shows how in control they are of the game. So they are down 2 points. I think they get the ball with.
I think they're down 1 because they won by 2.
They're down 1. Okay, they're down 1. Whatever. They're down 1. Yep. They're within a field goal. Wins.
But either way, yeah.
Field goal wins it. They're within 1, and they get the ball. They start that drive. I think somewhere in the 5.5, 6 minute mark. 99% of teams go down the field, kick a field goal, like a minute and a half left, probably more than that, probably closer to 2 minutes, and then try to play defense, get the stop on the other end. The Chiefs are so in control of what they do. They have so much confidence in themselves and in, obviously, Mahomes and the rapport he has with Kelsey and everything. They drained that clock methodically all the way down the field and got it to the last play of the game. They went for it on 4th down. Mahomes converted a crazy 3rd down just by doing some crazy Mahomes magic bullshit to Kelsey. And they are so confident in that they knew we can play, that we knew exactly how to play this drive. We are going to get it to where we have the ball last. We're going to kick the field goal and we're going to win the game. And sure enough, doink off the upright through, they win the game. They are on such a different level than every other team in the NFL.
No, anytime
they can beat you any way you want to be beat.
Yep.
They went and asked the Chargers. They go, how did you guys like it today? Okay, you guys have no receivers. All right, we're going to play a tight, low-scoring one. Not a problem. Let's run into each other for a few hours here. We'll kick a field goal at the end. We'll go home with the dub.
Yep.
Flip that to when they're playing a team who can score on them. They go, oh, okay, we need to score now. Okay, no problem. Xavier Worthy, Kelsey, Mahomes, do your thing. That's always in the back too. The horses are always in the back with this team. People think, and that's what I'm saying. People think they don't like. People just don't understand, man. They just don't understand that like the Chiefs don't care. They locked up the division, by the way. They already won the division. They don't care about these games. Winning these games mean nothing to the Chiefs. So they are going to do whatever is the least risky way of playing possible to still win. And they are so good, right? Because the problem with how you play that, right? That's like a very, like Tomlin does that. That's kind of his ethic, right? Is like, we're just going to do exactly what it takes to win and nothing more. We're not going to take any more chances than that. And that's fine, but you're playing on a very thin margin when you do that. Because if you're only going to do, right, if this is what it takes to win and you're going to do this, if you fuck up at all, you lose. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs are so good that they go, hey, we need this to win. We're going to do this and we won't fuck up. We'll never fuck up. And if we do, we have the greatest player I've ever seen in my life back there and he'll make it fine. Yeah. And they're 12-1. That's just, or what are they, 13-1 now? No, we're in week 15. They've had a bye. 12-1. They're 12-1. They lost one game to the Bills that they didn't really need. They're still going to get the 1 seed. They still won the division again. You guys, listen. Here's what can't happen. I'm just going to put this out there for the haters and the losers, of which there are many. Here's what you guys cannot happen. Here's what you guys need to root against hard for the next 2 months, because otherwise you will never escape me. If Oregon wins the national championship and the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, and I got both of them right, including Future of the Year on the Chiefs, I'll never shut up.
I'll go 3 more years.
Never. You people out there, and I know, listen, I don't have a problem with the people who root against me to lose, because I understand what my personality is, and I root for people to lose. So that's fine. I'm sure it would be very fun for a lot of you guys to see me lose. You better hope it happens. You better hope, because I've been saying all year, listen, the compilation is coming. We're getting the clips together of me telling you guys that you need to cancel Christmas because the Chiefs are very clearly the best team in the NFL, and everybody, every week on these damn talk shows that I have to listen to, go, well, we don't know. Well, the Bills, blah, 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 the Lions. The Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. They're going to three-peat. I've said it since August. Don't let me be right. Don't let me be right. It's going to suck for all of you.
The compilation video is the longest podcast we have.
The compilation's going to hit so hard.
55 minutes of saying I'm right.
Because I've just been right the whole time. And again, it's not a thing. It's not a thing where it's like, I get why people would want to see me be wrong, but it's going to hurt if I'm right. It's going to hurt. God, you people better root against the Chiefs. Last one. People like this stuff. I don't know. By the way, we want to talk about hater. If you like this next segment, like if you get enjoyment from what I'm about to talk about, I just want out there, you're sick. You're a pervert. It's gross that you people enjoy my pain like this. The Titans lost to the Jags. The Jags had lost 9 straight coming into the game. Titans coming off a win against the Texans the week before. Everybody's like, oh, well, hey, Will Levis, look, he's been pretty good the last 3 games, and this roster is actually not that bad. And, hey, look, they're playing hard. Maybe Brian Callahan is a good coach. And then they come out and embarrass me for 3 hours. 10-6, we lost that game. Levis looked terrible. He didn't do any of the crazy I'm going to turn it over a million times thing, but he did not throw it to wide open guys in the end zone.
Yeah, more like they're just playing it safe.
He took a million shots. The offensive line looked terrible. The defense was good, and listen, the defense was getting mouthy with the offense in the postgame, which at this point, it's been months, do it. When, guys are coming out being like our offensive line sucks, it's like, yeah, they do. We're professionals at this point. The season's over. Let these guys know. So they're a dumpster fire. We're back to I thought 1 week where I was like, maybe. Nope. Back to dumpster fire. Back to Brian Callahan on possible fraud bum wash. He might suck. Jury's been out this whole time. He might suck. His seat's hot. He's got to get it cracking early next year. But here's the thing. Here's the thing with Titans, because people do. Again, people like seeing me lose. They like seeing me in pain. They don't like that I keep talking about the 58%, so they find ways. I get messages sometimes. Titans, Titans. You think these people can hurt me? You think right now, after all this time, after everything, people are like, oh, it's the worst loss. I have no idea where that loss ranks in Titans history. You know why? Because there's been way too many horrible, awful, gut-wrenching losses. We lost 59-0 to the Patriots in the snow wearing throwback uniforms. They were wearing the red things with the little pirate guy on the head, and they cooked us by 59. We lost a playoff game, 2021, best Titans team of my lifetime. We lose a playoff game where we got 9 sacks. Never been done before in NFL history. Has a team gotten 9 sacks and lost? Titans managed to do it. You think this hurts? Yeah, you know what this was like? You ever heard the saying, if you're $1 million in debt, the bank owns you. If you're $100 million in debt, you own the bank. You ever heard that saying?
Never.
Do you get it? Do you understand where that comes from? Where it's like, if you owe the bank a mil, they're gonna be on your ass, right? They own you. You owe them a lot of money. If you owe the bank $100 million, they need you because they need that money.
Yeah.
So now you control things. That's how it is with the Titans. All right. When you have one dumpster fire year, you own me. I'm gonna live and die with that. That's gonna eat me up alive. When we've had 20 dumpster fire years, I own you people. I own the Titans. You think this hurts me? You think I care? I'll do this. I was born in the terrible NFL team streets. Just because I got to be, you know, it's really like too. Another analogy for you. You know those guys who live like in the trailer park in Florida. And like they sock their white trash and they win like the lottery, right? And they're like, all right, my life has changed. But then they just blow it on like strippers and blow in like 3 years and then they're right back in the trailer park. That's like what the Mike Vrabel era for the Titans was for us, where it was like people really started to, it's like, oh, it's a good organization now. Look, they're like the Patriots of the South. Look at this. It's crazy. And now we're right back in the trash, right back in the dumpster fire. And I'm fine. I'll live here forever. You think I don't know how to have a losing football team? You think I don't know how to go on Tankathon and see where we're at in the draft pick stand? You don't know how I get excited about, I don't know how to get excited about the draft in October. Been there, done that. How do you think I got so into like college football and stuff as a kid growing up in Canada? Because my team sucked every year.
To find something.
And I gotta find who are we gonna get?
Yeah.
Who are we gonna get? And listen, will the Titans be bad forever? I don't know. Maybe one day we'll figure it out. You know, that's the hope, is that maybe we'll get the quarterback and it'll, because the Patriots were dog shit for 40 years before they got Tom Brady. So like, listen, it can happen. Will it happen? I don't think so. I think it's probably what my life is going to be forever. It's just this organization constantly embarrassing me in front of everybody all the time. And that's fine. That's fine. Like I said, you can't hurt me. I own you. I'm not gonna shy away from, oh, hey, you're Titans. Yep, Titans fan. I'm a Titans fan. It sucks every day. It sucks every day. You know what happens? You know what happens when a man has nothing? You can't take anything from him. Yep. That's what happens when a man has nothing. I got nothing. I never had anything. Never did. You know, honestly, I was trying to think about this. The highlight of my Titans fan. I was trying to think about what the best moment. I'm trying to think back. What is the endless people would say, well, you know, you made the Super Bowl. They made the Super Bowl when I was 8. I don't fucking remember that. Actually, I was 6. I was 6 when they made the Super Bowl. I don't remember that. The best moment, it's one of two things. It's either when we beat the Ravens in the playoffs, or when we beat the Patriots. I think it's the Patriots, because in fact, I'll take for the rest of my life, the last pass that Tom Brady ever threw as a New England Patriot was a pick 6 to Logan Ryan in the playoffs against the Titans. That was the last time he ever played for the Patriots. They had a chance. They were down 4. I think 4. They had the ball in like their 6 with like a minute and a half left. They're going, okay, here we go. Tom Brady magic, 4th quarter drive. And I'm getting ready to get my heart cut out. And then first play, he hits Logan Ryan in the chest and he takes it back to the crib and it's over. I got so drunk that night. I unbelievably hammered. I think, and it's Sunday too. I don't go to work the next day. Didn't care. Got hammered. So that was probably the best it's ever been for me. And so when that's your highlight as a fan, and I'm 31 now, I've been doing this as a Titans fan for over 20 years. When that's the highlight, you'll never hurt me. You'll never hurt me. It doesn't matter how bad they get. There's nothing they can do. There's nothing they could do at this point. I've been through the Mike Mularkeys and the Ken Wisenhunts and the Jake Lockers and the Marcus Mariotas. I've been through all that. You'll never hurt me. So that's just what it is. We're just strapped